What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. It's no secret that the Liberals have found ways to have green slush funds, scandal after scandal after scandal under Justin Trudeau, that we've seen contracts being given out to friends and companies that siphon money off to the tunes of billions of dollars. Today, it would seem that not only do we have one of the usual suspects under our eye on the channel here, but one new one that is being accused by a Conservative MP of siphoning money now emerges as the ship of the Liberals continues to sink and again raises questions of where's the RCMP in all of this? When are we going to see justice? I know many of you are typing in the comments right now, never. We're not going to see it. It's not going to happen. This is where, again, I've often said, we need to demand more from our MPs, or at least the ones that want our vote when it comes time for the next elections, to answer those questions. I'll be speaking a bit more about that as we continue this video, because there is an MP that I am reaching out to, and I do want to show the relevancy of that in terms of the statement that is being made. But first, I want to highlight where this all started. Well, I'm not sure which Randy this is, but apparently Randy Boissonnault coming out stating, we have 4 million more homes to build, and we need trades workers to help build them. Well, part of the problem here, Randy, is you've made it impossible for people to get ahead no matter what they're doing for a job. They can't pay their bills, and if they have a trade, they're going to places where they're paid more money and valued more, where their dollar goes further than by working in Canada. I want to show this clip because it ties into something else with good old corrupt Randy. Let's take a listen to what he has to say here.
Hi everybody, Randy here. We need to build more homes faster, better, and we need the tradespeople to build those homes. That's why I'm here at the United Brotherhood of Carpenters in Vaughan at this amazing training facility. 48 people being trained in everything from millwrighting to carpentry to joining to siding to build all the amazing homes that we need here in the GTA and beyond. As a member of a union family, I can tell you, we understand how important unions are to the middle class, the fabric of our community, the billions of dollars that unions put into training people. And when somebody comes here to get trained, the union is doing it at no profit to them. It's all about giving back to the community. Today, I announced $9 million for UBC right here to make sure that we get 1,500 foreign trained construction people into the home building trades. And that means figuring out their skills, making sure they get the bridging program, and that they get the accompaniment to make sure that they stay in the trade. Why? Because it's going.
So I'm going to cut it off right there because his blabbering, does he ever remind you of that really short guy from Police Academy that's always talking? Like, I forget his name, but he was always hanging around with Hightower. Again, maybe that was the other Randy. I don't know. But here's the problem with what he's talking about. He's talking about a $1 billion industry. That's going to come into play in a second. But one thing that he does mention here is to get foreign trade workers trained in Canada. Why does it always have to be foreign? Why can't we have incentives for Canada's own citizens to get the training that is required, to maybe put in some kind of program that, I don't know, maybe makes their debt a little less if they're willing to take on a trade, or discounts on their schooling or student debt when they're out of school, some kind of incentive to get our own people interested in improving their lifestyles to work for a living. Again, the one thing he brings up that is separate from that is the cost of this industry. It has nothing to do with coming from a union family because, well, we all know that Randy and the Liberals control the unions anyways. But if we look back here at this tweet coming from Bruce McGonigal, Randy is in charge of the $1 billion rebuild of Jasper. Let that sink in. This is what it's about. Keep in mind, the one thing that gets mentioned in this tweet is the big kicker when it comes to why he wants all these skilled tradespeople to begin with. One of the warehouses his company's owned was torched in an arson attack. I wonder why. I'm surprised Boissonnault didn't blame climate change for the warehouse inferno. Global News revealed the company, which Boissonnault owned 50% of, until June, when he was caught with his hands in his pockets, is mired in lawsuits, including several allegations of civil fraud, owes approximately $8 million in court-ordered debt, and its warehouse was set on fire by 3 arsonists and bid on and won a federal contract while Boissonnault was in cabinet in a possible contravention of ethics rules. I love how they say it's a possible contravention of ethics rules. Yeah, you've gone against You've gone against every ethic rules within the government. Let's take a listen to this clip.
Percent of residents want this government to fight climate change. We couldn't breathe the smoke in the air on September long weekend or May long weekend. These guys want to let the planet burn. We're going to defend the planet, put more money in the pockets of Albertans. They can do what they want to do. We're going to defend Canadians and make sure there's a planet for our kids and our grandkids.
I love how Randy's throwing of his hands and screaming louder makes him feel like he's somewhat resembling a man. There's nothing that he does that shows that he has any kind of stake in claiming himself to be a man. This is somebody who has, again, put his hands in every Canadian's pockets. He's clearly got these contracts in Jasper to pad his own pockets, which is exactly why he's standing in a warehouse talking about training tradespeople. This is all for their benefit. Follow the money, folks. Part of the problem is this isn't the only Liberal MP, which I should say there's two of them, because don't forget, there's two Randys. But now Stephanie Cousy from the Conservatives throwing out accusations. Stephen Guilbeault is now accused of siphoning $254 million to his own company. This is the issue I have with carbon taxes. This is the issue I have with any tax in this country. I've said it a million times over. Taxation is theft. If they have too much money to give to other countries, if they have too much money to dole out to services and grants and studies and all these different NGOs that we have no part in or necessity in, you're paying too much tax. Keep in mind, the average Canadian, the average working Canadian, gives statistically around 40% of their paycheck to income taxes and charges before their take-home pay. This is where it goes. You've got lunatics like Stephen Guilbeault, who harassed Ralph Klein and his family, who scaled the CN Tower and is arrested, by the way. He's a convicted felon who's now the Minister of the Environment. We've all said that the climate change deal is a scam, that it doesn't hold water. Well, here's why he pushes it so hard. $254 million to his own company. These guys are getting rich off of the average Canadian. Calgary Conservative MP Stephanie Cousy is now accusing Federal Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault of corruption related to so-called Green Slush Fund. On Friday, Cousy of Calgary Midnapore said Guilbeault invested $254 million into a company he owns. How is that not a conflict of interest? The government is failing to comply with Parliament and hand over the documents pertaining to the potentially corrupt activity, said Cousy in a social media post. Canadians deserve answers and accountability from this scandal-plagued Liberal government. When will they hand over the documents to the RCMP? Now, this is where I questioned at the beginning of this video. Where are the RCMP? Clinton Jaws, shout out to him. He did a really good video talking about the Green Slush Fund and SDTC and why we aren't seeing the RCMP intervening. In fact, I think I should get Clinton on the channel to talk about it a little more. If you haven't seen Clinton Jaws before, I would highly recommend checking out his channel. He's a former RCMP officer who is now left his post. He makes YouTube content, talks about politics, does some really good videos on the platform. One thing he brings up is the Criminal Code of Canada. And he brings up an interview that the head of the RCMP had with CTV where he says, look, we need a warrant. We can't just bust in and say we're going to put people in cuffs and make charges. Investigations have to take place. Warrants have to take place. They have to have a probable reason. And I get it, guys. I know you're screaming at the screen. We have plenty of reason to go after them. We have committees. We have exposure. We have all these scandals that have come out. So where are the RCMP? Again, maybe for some clarity, we'll bring Clinton Jaws onto the channel to talk about it. I think it would be great. I also would like to get Stephanie Cousy back on the channel because one of my questions for her, when we had her on to talk about the Arrive scam debacle, was, again, why are we not seeing arrests? Why are we not seeing charges? What is the point of these committees, which also cost taxpayer money and is being wasted, when essentially it's nothing more than a gossip session to point fingers and yell at each other? If we're not going to see charges, what is the point? Her answer? Well, we got to get to the bottom of it. That's not good enough. I demand more, especially from my representatives. Again, I'm in contact regularly with Stephanie Cousy. She's my MP for my jurisdiction of Calgary. Hopefully we can have her back on the show very soon to discuss this further into detail. However, last week, the National Post reported that Auditor General Karen Hogan struck down a House of Commons committee request for another audit of the Green Slush Fund, saying it likely wouldn't reveal anything new. In a letter to the Public Accounts Committee in October, Hogan said that her office would not conduct the value for money and performance audit of sustainable development technology requested by the committee last month, reported to the National Post. Again, they don't want to go any further with it. They don't see the point. Why? Well, because they're protecting those that are corrupt. After 9 years, this NDP Liberal government is not worth the cost, said Cusi in the House Friday. Again, another slogan. I want answers. The Environment Minister invested $254 million into a company that he owns. The government continues to hide the documents. The Green Slush Fund is against the interests of this House. It's against the interests of every Canadian who pays taxes. They're literally flaunting their corruption in our faces. Liberal MP Karina Gould, or Karen as I call her, responded to Cusi, accusing her of dishonesty. She said the federal government has already tabled all documents requested by the House. Then why isn't Parliament moving forward? Why is it at a standstill, Karen? We did so in a way that respects the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, said Gould. When have they ever respected the Charter of Rights? The Conservative Party is blocking its own blocking of the House's work. On this side of the House, we respect democracy, we respect the rights of Canadians, and we respect the authority of the police. End that sentence with a big old bullshit. RCMP Commissioner Mike Duhame is concerned that some of the Green Slush Fund documents sent to police through a House order are outside the normal reach of investigators, putting the force in an awkward legal gray zone, reported the National Post. Again, the government has covered their tracks. We all know about when they did the Emergency Act Commission, again, transparent, redacted documents that show up. It says here that allegations against Guilbeault have not been proven in court. Of course not. They're all protecting themselves. And this, again, is why we need to be more vigilant, more concerned about where our tax dollars go. Even in Alberta, you'll see that Danielle Smith recently sat in a conference talking about Stephen Guilbeault to this matter, because now she's taking him back to federal court. Again, this is all follow the money, follow him lining his pockets. Let's take a listen to this.
In Ottawa, Minister Guilbeault said, let me pull up the quote, speaking about your government, they will continue doing stupid things and we will continue doing things to help Canadians. What is your response?
Absolutely not. He is not helping Canadians. He is harming Canadians. 150,000 job losses, the loss of production, which means the loss of revenue, not only for us, but for the rest of the country. An increase in cost on every family's budget to the tune of $419 per month, each and every month. This is not responsible policy. This is a vendetta. Like, he has a deranged vendetta against Alberta. It's very obvious. We've been watching it for some time. He's trying to find a way to get around what the Constitution says. He even acknowledged that they are not permitted to do a production cap because it is natural resources fall under provincial jurisdiction. Somehow he thinks he's going to sneak one in and we won't notice and the rest of the country won't notice. Well, we've noticed, and we think the courts will notice. He cannot do this.
Again, saying that Stephen Guilbeault has a vendetta against Alberta is an understatement. We all know that Stephen Guilbeault, again, acts within the best interests of his wallet. He doesn't care about the environment as much as he pretends to. It's nothing more than a cloak or a shield to protect him from his corrupt behavior or his goals, essentially, of coming out the wealthier person at the end of this. All of these Liberal MPs, anytime we see any of this, again, if you wind the clocks back 20 years ago to the Chrétien days, the Paul Martin days, any of these MPs caught with this kind of corruption would have been removed, fired, and possibly charged. There definitely would have been inquiries where people weren't being protected. Again, begs the question, and today's question of the day, which I'd like you to answer below, what has changed in our policies and in our politics to allow Justin Trudeau and his cronies to manipulate our legal system as much as they have? Let me know your answers down below. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up, my question again to you, do you believe in Stephen Guilbeault's pursuit of the environment? Do you think that he is noble in his quest, or do you think that, again, this is all just liberals padding their pockets? Let me know, again, that answer as well down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, as we're very closely moving our way towards 50,000 subscribers here on the channel. I'd love to hit that by the end of the year. So if you're enjoying this, make sure to hit that button, as well as click your bell for notifications. Leave a thumbs up and a comment down below. All that YouTube jazz helps push us out. And while you're at it, ladies and gentlemen, join me this Friday for Friday Night Fringe, my live streaming show, where I sit down with my beautiful wife, Mrs. Fringe, and we go over everything that has happened this week in Canadian politics, some of the stuff that doesn't make it to these videos, and some back and forth within our community, and hearing what you guys have to say and your Q&A. It's always great to chat with you guys outside of these videos. I look forward to speaking with each and every one of you this Friday, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.